I wasn't trying to come in to tell student athletes, don't tweet this, don't post that, don't be an idiot. Because most of that, I mean, there are still people who post terrible things. But for me to come in and say that doesn't really help you. Right. It's like, hey, don't post pictures of you. Well, that's not, what are you supposed to post, right? It's to say like, okay, I know what not to do, but me not posting dumb things doesn't mean I'm using it well. Yeah. Right. It's like, you have to have some kind of purpose. And so that was the idea of, and early on, even at school was like, hey, will you come scare our kids off social media? And I was like, sure. Like whatever got me to the school. Like, absolutely. That was not going to be my message when I got there, but everyone was just so afraid of it. Like it terrified people. And then it's so crazy how now it's switched from let's ban them and scare them off of it to now let's equip, not just educate them on how to use it well. Now let's give them resources to actually build a brand they can monetize. Yeah. And that's becoming a recruiting tool. And so it's just fascinating in a decade how drastically that's shifted.
I saw yesterday, I think OSU announced that they'd partners with a company called, is it Influencer? And like that. So that would be a huge
there's several companies out there doing stuff like that. Yeah. And the idea is essentially, it's almost like Dropbox, right? The schools have so much content of these athletes because they're taking pictures and videos at practice, at games, traveling, and people follow people more than they follow brands. Yeah. Even some of these like traditional college fan bases. I was at Nebraska several years ago when Bo Pelini was still there, and Bo rarely used Twitter. He had more Twitter followers than Nebraska. It's like Nebraska's like a household college football name.
It's an institution.
That's right. And it's like, but Bo Pelini, who rarely used it, had more followers. So people follow people more than brands. And so schools are realizing if we have all this content, if we can get it into the hands of our student athletes. So it's basically an app where a student athlete will open, they've got basically their own folder of content that they can then share. Yeah. And so it's just fascinating. And some of these programs, they're now looking at telling a student athlete, this is what you're worth, right? This is what because they're starting, we'll probably pass some name, image, likeness, which is basically saying student athletes can get paid for being a student athlete. Legislation coming soon, and most of that's going to be around social media. They can be paid to be an Instagram influencer or whatever it may be. And so now they're analyzing just how much is our backup wide receiver worth, if he were to post on Instagram, if a company were to pay him. And so it's fascinating how that world has shifted so much.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, to see, like I said, you've been in it from day one, just to see that, schools are like, we don't want our kids on social media because it'll, they may be losing scholarships and it'll ruin their reputation or whatever, and the school's reputation, to, how can we get these guys the value that they deserve, that they, and what is it? It's in California right now, right? Or it's coming soon.
Yep. They expect it to be, now a lot of things could change because now administrators are kind of going back and forth with Congress. Congress is getting involved, which adds, 47 other layers to it. That's right. And because they want to have some kind of uniformity so that California doesn't have a different law than Texas or whatever it may be. But the general expectation before COVID hit was that this would go, basically pass in January 2021 to go into effect August 2021 school year. And so and that's why a lot of these schools are signing deals now to start to prepare for the recruiting classes that are going to be coming in next year and the year after.
Yeah, which is, that's so exciting for kids coming in,
Massive.
It's going to pay for their college, right?
Certain ones, absolutely. Yeah. Some kids will make zero, right?
Well, of course.
And that's totally fine. That's just the nature of the beat, right? The market will decide what they're worth. But I remember I was at a D3 school in Vermont, this probably 7 years ago. It was whenever Vine was around. Yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah. And this kid, he was a basketball player at a D3 school. He had 250,000 followers on Vine. Yeah. Well, that's significant. It's like he could have been making some serious money off of that. He's not going to make money off basketball, right? And that's okay. And he's not going. He didn't go to a D3 school expecting to make money playing basketball. If he does, great. Yeah. But it's you have these kids, and I think especially maybe international. I think there's maybe even a bigger opportunity because they're smaller teams, but different kind of audience and global audience. But there are some significant opportunities, and if a kid makes $3,000 a month.
Oh yeah. Life-changing.
In college?
Yeah. It's a huge deal.
Oh my gosh. I would have thought I was a king if I made $3,000 a month in college.
Yeah.
I mean, there are adults who don't make that today. I mean, it's a really fascinating development. That's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah.